discuss more on that, we are being joined by Dharmendra Tuteja, who is the Chief Financial Officer of Dalmia Bharat, joining us on the show. Very good morning, and thank you so much for your time. So, yes, great news for the cement pack as well, from 28% GST to 18% now. But is that on expected lines? Because market, in a way, were expecting this to happen. What are your thoughts on the same, and what kind of an impact do you believe it will bring on demand in the medium to long term?
Thank you very much for bringing me on the show. And I definitely see this as a very positive move for the sector. People might say that the consumption of cement in a project will not increase just because the price goes down. But we have to see a much larger context. See, this move will ultimately increase the purchasing power of the people. And increased purchasing power boosts the income disposable available with that. So ultimately, I do see that the consumption of cement and overall demand will definitely increase.
Mr. Tuteja, what about demand? And, let's talk a little bit more about that, because it was largely expected to remain elastic despite the GST cut. Do you see this rate cut directly translating into stronger demand, or do you think the bigger story lies in the shift towards premium cement consumption? That's where the big impact would be felt.
I'll say both factors will come into play. First of all, when the cost on cement goes down, see, ultimately this accounts for about 10 to 12% in a typical housing project, and it's about 15% of the cost of project when it is affordable housing project. So this kind of cut definitely leads to a better demand. And secondly, it also shifts because the prices of the cement goes down. People can upgrade to a premium or a A-class player demand. So I agree with the views presented by Nomura that it will also shift towards the A-class players.
And what percentage of Dalmia Bharat's portfolio comes from the premium category A or category B?
Yeah, it is coming from we are A-class player in most of the markets. Somewhere we also have A-plus demand coming from our Dalmia DSP project, Dalmia DSP cement.
So I guess the most important and relevant consumer question, Mr. Tuteja, would be whether the GST cut is going to pave the way for cement prices to move either which way.
Prices will definitely go down because the industry will pass on the benefits, and this reduction will definitely be positive for the entire industry. And since the entire virtuous cycle has been set in by the government by passing on rate cuts for items which are mass consumption items for the people, and these benefits will ultimately translate for savings for about 90 to 95% of the population, which is in the middle class or the lower income class, and their purchasing power will definitely set in the virtuous cycle of higher consumption, which leads to higher let's say demand and more investments coming from the industry to set up increasing capacities for meeting this demand. And this also reduces the inflation. It doesn't disturb the fiscal math. So it is positive for the currency. And I see even the foreign capital investment coming to India also improving. So all in all things are positive in terms of boosting the overall sentiment, boosting the overall demand, boosting the GDP growth, not disturbing the fiscal math, keeping the inflation under check. So in a way, I think a wonderful step from the government of India.
The other fact that the industry was hoping for, yes, of course, the GST benefits, like you said, that will be passed on to the consumers. But after so many years, we were getting to see that on one hand, the demand was coming back and the pricing power was also coming back. Yes, of course, there was a temporary blip with respect to the monsoon. But post-monsoon, as a company, will you be open to take some bit of a price hikes, barring this GST benefit that you will be passing on?
Of course, GST benefit will get passed on, and overall, the prices still have room to increase. Even in the last 10 years or so, cement prices have hardly increased. They have increased by about 1–1.5% per annum versus the inflation rate of about 5 to 6% over this period. So, and the margins in the industry are still much lower than to justify the cost of return of capital which is required to be earned. So considering the demand supply situation and the overall profitability of the situation of the companies, there will be room to increase the prices on cement, but of course, after fully passing on the benefit of the GST.
Interesting. Okay, Mr. Tuteja, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time today.